Aloha and welcome to the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Felipe Ojastro. You know, in a normal year, we would be surrounded by hundreds of our family and our friends and fellow officials and celebrating their outstanding career achievements. But like most things in life, the COVID-19 pandemic changed those plans. So instead, we come to you from the M.M. Scott Theater here on the campus of McKinley High School. Founded in 2017, the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame celebrates, promotes, and honors sports officials that demonstrate the highest level of achievement, character, leadership, skill over a significant period of time. Today, we'll honor 4 officials from the class of 2020 and 3 from the class of 2021. 7 officials from 7 different sports with 7 stories to tell. We hope you enjoy. To begin today's ceremony and to say a few words, here's Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame President, Cal Evans.
Thank you, Felipe. Aloha and welcome to the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame virtual ceremony honoring the classes of 2020 and 2021. The pandemic has forced us to think first and foremost about the health and safety of the inductees and guests. Mahalo to our board for making this very difficult decision. Also, thanks to the selection committee for making excellent choices among the qualified candidates for induction. Thank you to our sponsors and supporters who congratulate all of our inductees for their lifetime of service. Please enjoy today's ceremony.
All right, Cal, thanks so much. Let's get things started. First, with the Hawaii Sports Officials class of 2020. Our first inductee represents the sport of soccer. Let's meet Jan Allen. When it comes to soccer officiating in Hawaii, Jan Allen is full of genuine joy. For nearly half a century, Allen has dedicated her life to the game, and it all started more than 7,000 miles away. With her husband in the Air Force, her family was stationed in England, and while watching a pickup game at the park, decided to jump in.
Soccer is so natural. If you give a little kid, like a toddler, a ball and you roll it towards them, they're going to kick it. And that's how it felt when I first kicked the ball. It was like, wow, this is it. This is it. You know, I can kick the ball. So I started playing and found out I really liked it.
The sport's simplicity and competition only grew her affection for the game, despite facing some unique challenges early on.
When I first started playing, and this is in England where it's a sport, we women actually played on cow fields with cow dung on the fields. And you're running and it's like balls, splats, and they say, you can have the ball. you take it. We persevered because we loved the game. So, we played. And if that's where we had to play, we played.
Always wanting to improve, she was then approached by her team captain with the idea of becoming an official and further learning the rules and nuances of the game.
We had to go into this very, very cold room. It was freezing because this was in winter. And here we are in this cold room trying to learn all the rules of the game. So it was really brutal. We're shivering. And these guys went over every single word of the rule book. But it was an amazing course, and it gave me the basis of knowing the game and how to interpret the rules. They were really amazing.
From then on, Jan Allen continued to study, learn, and work, officiating games in California, Texas, Virginia, and Hawaii. For the last 5 years, she's been a member of the NFHS Rules Committee and the HHSA Soccer Tournament Committee, working many state games and championships.
The thing is, because my husband was in the Air Force, we moved around quite a bit. So wherever I went, I had to prove myself, and I had to prove myself on the field. So not only did I have to prove myself to the teams, I had to prove myself to my fellow referees. And luckily, because of my training, I think with the RAF, it gave me a good basic, structure that I could rely on.
And many officials have relied on her. Allen founded the Hawaii Scholastic Soccer Federation Referees Association, providing leadership to any and all that want to help. Her values of professionalism and preparation have propelled her to the Hall of Fame, an achievement still leaving her stunned.
Unbelievable, actually. Honestly, unbelievable. I mean, that was never in my concept of that, of an achievement, never a goal. So I consider myself very blessed, very, very, very blessed.
A pitch-perfect honor for one of the state's most beloved referees. Congratulations to 2020 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Chant Allen.
How is it that I'm here? Ever since I got notified that I was nominated for this auspicious award, I've been trying to wrap my head around how I got on this path. But of course, I've had a lot of time to reflect back on my path here. I guess the very one who is most responsible is my late husband, Ralph. He was in the Air Force and got stationed at RAF Lakenheath in England. One day he drove me out to the field, and of course it looked like these women were playing and practicing, and so he got out of the car, so did I, and he introduced me to one of the women, and then he said, "I'll pick you up after you're finished." I went, "What?" Yeah, had no clue. That was my introduction to soccer. Unfortunately, the ladies were very kind, and I must say that kicking a soccer ball is a basic primal instinct. With that first kick, I knew that this was my game. I instantly fell in love with the sport. So much so that the first game I ever played in, I was so excited that when the whistle blew and the ball was kicked off, I ran and screamed like a child that was being let out to recess. That's how excited I was. However, one of my coaches was not impressed. He was a Scottish fellow who turned to my husband and said, "That was not cricket." Of course, I realized then that I really needed to know more about the rules of the game. My opportunity came months later when the captain of my team asked me, "Hey, how would you like to attend a referee training course?" And I thought, well, I guess I need to know more about the rules, and what better way to know it than to be, taught by the people that know the game. So I must say that it was the most miserable and most enlightening course I've ever taken. Our training was at night, and the buildings we were in were miserably cold. The heat would turn off at night and would only turn on during the morning. Luckily, the instructors were amazing. They went over every single word in the law book. They demonstrated the fouls and misconduct and taught us how to interpret the laws of the game. This in-depth training was to become the basic structure of my knowledge and understanding that I still carry with me today. One thing they instilled on me, and in fact it still goes on today, was to respect the spirit of the game. Well, after taking the FA referee test, we were informed that we were the second and third women to ever take and pass the FA test. And FA is the Football Association. Unfortunately, we could not join in the FA's Referees Association because women were not allowed. So we turned to the WFA, and they readily took us, and we were registered as referees. Our tour in England came to an end, and luckily we got to come home to Hawaii. Much to my surprise, soccer was alive and growing in Hawaii. So much so that in 1978, I had an opportunity to compete in the first World Women's Football Tournament in Taiwan. This was before there ever was a Women's World Cup. Taiwan sponsored the tournament and invited more than 10 teams from different nations to compete. The U.S. was already represented, so they invited us as Team Polynesia. Taiwan had participated in one of our annual women's tournament in Hawaii, and we beat them. And so they wanted us involved. I think it was payback, really. Our team was comprised of several women from different teams, and we carried the Hawaii flag. It was awesome. It was while I was playing in Hawaii that I began to officiate in earnest. I felt that I needed to give back to the sport I loved, and I also felt that I really could not criticize the officials if I didn't run in his shoes. I regularly attended meetings and training and honed my skills. It wasn't easy, as there were many mistakes and lessons to be learned. I knew that mistakes were inevitable, so I decided to minimize my mistakes as much as possible and to be the referee that I would want to have in my game. I would have to say that throughout the journey it was my husband and daughters who have supported and accepted my passion for this game, and I will be forever grateful. But the real training and experience comes from the people I've met along the way, like my teammates and my opponents. Also the administrators, coaches, athletes that I constantly learn from the most. No amount of classroom and field training is worth anything without the game experience and the ability to apply the laws in that game that will enhance the growth of a referee. As my career advanced from refereeing kids, high school, women's, men's, college, and semi-pro, it was all of them that contributed to my path here. So with this knowledge, this is a challenge I send to everyone. I hope that you will continue to help train the referees that you will encounter and train them to be the referee you want to referee in your game. Let me not forget my fellow officials who strive for excellence along the path with me. I used to say to them, you're only as good as your last game. So we keep going, striving to be the referee we want to referee our game. To all my teammates, opponents, administrators, coaches, athletes that I met on my journey with me, I thank you for all the I thank you for all of us, as we are all important to this game that we love. And this is why I'm so proud to accept the honor, and I embrace the title, Hawaii Officials Hall of Famer. Yes, I am a Hall of Famer. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jan. Our next inductee has left an indelible mark in the OIA as a coach and as an official. Let's meet Sam Delos Reyes. Sam Delos Reyes spent a total of 45 years as a teacher, coach, and basketball official. His referee career can be traced back as early as 9th grade. While playing at Waipahu Rec Center, he was approached by youth director Eddie Menor, who was short on officials for a new community league season. Hesitant, Sam decided to join.
And I told him, well, Mr. Menor, I said, I don't know how to officiate. And he said, just blow the whistle when you see a foul, and if you see a travel. So I went on, you know, and a lot of my friends in the gym was, what are you doing out there? So I said, I don't know.
Sam eventually pulled through and delivered, or as he puts it, survived, and for his efforts was rewarded.
And I walked in the office of Mr. Menor, and then he gives me $9. And I'm a 9th grader, and I told him, well, what's this? He said, because I refereed 3 games with him, right? He gives me $9, and I said, that's a lot of money. And I was only a 9th grader. He says, yeah, so now you can officiate with us, and 3 games and make $9. Wow. I said, I'm a rich guy now. 9th grader with $9.
Through high school, he served as a statistician at Waipahu. After graduating, he then met legendary official and 2018 Hall of Fame inductee James Iona, with a strong interest in continuing a career in the black and white stripes.
He mentored all of us, all officials, not only one. And of course, he had his leaders amongst all the officials. And everyone, you take a part from each one. Then you develop, I think, your own philosophy.
In 1968, Sam joined the Hawaii Basketball Officials Association and relentlessly worked from gym to gym, perfecting his craft. For 33 years, he worked his way up, from his 9 high school state championship games to NAIA, and even the Western Athletic and Big West conferences. The transition is always difficult, he says, but the opportunity to be selected was golden.
The fortunate thing for us officials in Hawaii is we have university and we have division, at that time 2 schools that were participating in basketball. And the distance is so far, so it gives an opportunity for officials in Hawaii to be selected, be evaluated.
With the recommendation of former OIA Executive Director Hugh Yoshida, Sam was the founder and commissioner of the Hawaii State Basketball Officials Association, an HHSA coordinator for more than 15 years. Through it all, he credits those around him that made it possible.
To be recognized now in the Hall of Fame, wow. So appreciative of all the people that gave me that recognition.
A man dedicated to serving now serves as the Hall's newest member. Congratulations to 2020 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Sam Delos Reyes.
I'm deeply honored, excited, appreciative to the Hawaii Sports Official Hall of Fame Committee for your consideration and enshrinement of being inducted as an official into the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame. It is so humble and so unexpected. So I just want to thank all those that I considered to be part of this award that I've been given. To Mr. Minn, City Director, Park Recreation Center at Waipahu Recreation Center, for giving me an opportunity to start a new and challenging part-time profession. I know deeply that he was very instrumental in my considering continuing to officiate basketball. The others that are involved is Mr. James Iona of previously the old OIA Basketball Officials Association. He, along with his staff members, senior officials, have given mentorship to all officials, and I was deeply and appreciatively humbled by what they said when you went on the court. You look terrible. What are you doing? You missed that call. You may be thinking of another sport. And it really gave me a perspective of what it is to be an official. Because to be an official, you must like all the very good criticism people give you. They tell you the truth. You're blind. And I am blind now. You know, they tell you, you know, what do you see? And you tell them what you see, and they really don't believe you what you see. You know, and you apply the rules to your mechanics as well, and then you call what you see. But unfortunately, they see it in a different light because of where they stand, and they're not actually focused on the game. They're only focused on their friends, their fellow players, you know, but they're not actually focusing on officiating the game. So in that light, I became a coach. I wanted to see the difference between officiating and coaching. And boy, did I get thrown out of the gym. At IA Rec Center, I was a JV basketball coach, and I argued with the coaches, with the officials, and they threw me out of the gym. At that time, I knew I should concentrate on officiating rather than coaching. To Mr. Yoshida, the executive director of the OIA at that time, in 1978, he had called a meeting. And at that time, all the senior officials in the association and I were present. And he gave me an opportunity to be the commissioner of the OIA basketball officials group. And Mr. Yoshida, you really put me at a bind because I really wanted to concentrate on coaching football. But basketball officiating was my love as well. And I thank you for that. You know, to the many officials that I've worked with and learned from, I thank you. And to the many coaches, players, school administrators, school athletic directors, school personnel, school security officers, HPD officers that have provided and ensured us safety and welfare after the games were worked, I give you my appreciation. Lastly, to the many fans and the media people, without you, the game would not go on the way it should. Look at today, during the pandemic. Without the fans, they can't yell at the officials. Without the media, they still criticize what's going on, but not the officiating. Again, mahalo to my parents, family and friends, and my wife who supported what I do as an official. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Sam. Our next inductee is the first in the sport of volleyball and has officiated some of the biggest events in the state. Let's meet Wayne Lee. If you watched any level of Hawaii volleyball on television in the last 30 years, you may recognize him. Wayne Lee has been a fixture in countless gyms and arenas for one of Hawaii's most popular sports. As a kid growing up in Kalihi and Kaneohe, and then graduating from Damon Memorial, Lee got his first taste of the sport and officiating early.
It was intramurals in high school, and then when I went to college at Chaminade, we had intramurals there, and that was a lot of fun. And after that, just kind of kept on playing, hooked up with a couple other guys, started playing club, and somebody said, you need to ref. It's your turn. A rookie, a new guy. So it's going to be your turn to ref. And Owen and Dan Hironaka said, you know, you should come ref with us. Like, what? And that's kind of how it started.
And once he started, he never stopped, grinding his way through the club ranks, then both the OIA and ILH in the early 90s. and currently serving as the HHSA Volleyball Officials Chair. A man of great integrity and character, he's never scheduled himself to work a state tournament game, instead opting to assign his fellow officials to gain valuable experience.
There's a reason why you officiate or anything. You have your own philosophy about why you do things. I enjoy it, and it's a way to give back for me. You get nervous, even during club, because you're looking at players that you look at, like from Outrigger and so on and so forth. These are players that we watched in college when I was growing up and stuff. So it's kind of intimidating at first, but you know, it was kind of fun.
Moving up to college, he established himself as one of the best in the country, working in the WAC, Big West Conference, Pac West Conference, and the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation. An official with laser-lock focus, Lee does admit sometimes he feels the jitters.
From high school to college that was a big step, because you got pretty nervous, and I already did some line judging at UH early on, and that transition from a line judge or just being in Clum Gym or being at BYU and so on and so forth, it was interesting.
Wayne Lee has experienced some of the biggest moments in Hawaii volleyball history. And no matter how chaotic the job may be at times, his calm, cool, and collective character has set the example of what other officials aspire to be.
You feel the excitement in the arena, you feel it, but yet you need to focus on what you're doing. So it's not like you shut it out. You still hear it, but you focus between the lines kind of thing, and just got to do what you do.
You can still see Wayne Lee in gyms and arenas around the state. He continues to conduct rules clinics and grow the game. And the ones he's mentored have benefited, ushering in a new generation of collegiate-level Hawaii officials, earning him the respect of players, coaches, colleagues, and fans.
In my heart, I don't really sometimes feel like I deserve something like this, because there are a lot more other people who have contributed to the sport, not necessarily maybe officiating, but behind the scenes and just keeping the sport going.
Hardworking, humble, and now into the Hall. Congratulations to 2020 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Wayne Lee.
First of all, thank you to the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame for the distinguished and totally unexpected honor. To Cal, the board of directors, and everyone else associated with the Halls, thank you. Your efforts to recognize the fraternity of officials is appreciated by all of us. So, with that, so many people to thank. I wrote this thing like 5 times, but so many people to thank, and where do you start? You're always going to forget someone, no matter how hard you try. So, aside from trying to figure out everyone, you just thank everyone. From the people who set up the nets, from the people who clean the gym, to your fellow officials. Without them, you wouldn't have a sport. So for that, thank you to them. And of course, your fellow officials, the folks that I've worked with, had the pleasure to teach, sit in clinics, sit in airplanes, coaches who took the time, players who took the time to sit with you after and try to figure out where you were coming from. And at the same time, you had a feel for the players on what was happening on their end. So it was a learning process for everyone. The mentors that you had, I think we've all had them. And the best thing about mentors, they didn't tell you what you wanted to hear. They told you what you needed to hear. Good or bad, you thought you did a great job, but yet there's always something you could have done better. And you could always improve, and you always work towards improvement. But the main things that they stressed were, which I found and I still believe today, is the character and integrity of being an official. You know, joining this group, I see a lot of names that I've watched over the years. I've watched them officiate from different sports, see what they do, how they position themselves, how they conduct themselves, and every single one of them had a sense of character and integrity that you wanted to emulate, but yet you still wanted to be yourself. You had to be yourself. And that was a goal that I had for myself, and in teaching the younger officials and working with the other guys I worked with over the years. So when I first got notice of the honor, oh, forget this. When I first got notice of the honor, it was kind of a shock. I saw the message from Cal, and I just looked at it and said, oh, okay, I'll call him later. Went to work, turned on the computer, and it blew up. I didn't know it was on TV. I didn't know it was on the news at all until I had all the emails from friends at work, and then my phone started blowing up with text messages, and then, of course, my family and everyone else, so it was quite a shock. But I still didn't call Cal. So. And looking at it, it was such an honor. It was hard to comprehend it at times. But then I did the research into the Hall of Fame, and I looked at the people that were in there, the other officials, my peers and everyone else, and I said, this is a huge honor. But like I said, I looked at the names and I felt even smaller. I was such a small person compared to these people. But just to be part of the fraternity is such a great honor. I really don't know what to say except thank you. You know, we strive to do the right thing at the right time. You know, we look at rules, we look at mechanics, we look at position, and at the end of the day, I think it boils down to doing the right thing for the right reason at the right time. And maintaining that, and maintaining being humble and just doing what we do because we enjoy what we're doing. And again, heartfelt thank you to the committee and to the fellow inductees, the people in the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Congratulations, Wayne. Our last inductee for the class of 2020 has left a significant impact in Hawaii football officiating while representing the state at the highest level of his profession. Let's meet Matt Sumstine. For more than a quarter century, Matt Sumstine has dedicated his life to the game of football. After coming to Hawaii in 1987, he quickly rose to become one of Hawaii's premier officials, from working youth games to Arena 2 League games in the early 2000s. That ascension was not accidental. His love for the game at an early age sparked opportunity.
My first invitation to officiating was, you make the call on the NFL in the 1970s. So I'm dating myself back a little bit, but they had that, and I was really, really adamant about trying to get all of those right, and I'd get irritated if I didn't. In fact, I was pretty much a pro football rules expert, at least as much as you could be as a kid in the 70s. I was at my wife's softball game, and a guy named Bob Montgomery, who was an OIA football official in the late 80s before he moved to Florida, saw me there, and I was, supporting my wife and her softball playing deal with the company. And he says, "Hey, do you like football?" I said, "Yeah, I love football." He goes, "You want to referee?" And I said, "Yes." So that was it. I mean, that's how I started. Went to the meeting and never looked back.
Throughout his career, Sumstine spent years perfecting his craft working OIA games, eventually becoming a side judge in the Western Athletic Conference. His persistent style of preparation was paramount and taken notice by one of his mentors, 2018 Hall of Famer Roy Chong.
He did respect my passion for the game and my passion for the rules, and he never held me back. It was just we were never buddies. So when it came to the Monday meetings, it was pretty common for me to get yelled at in those meetings.
Success did not come without setbacks. An ACL injury in 1993 during a YNI Farrington game sidelined Sumstine briefly, but he kept working and working. In 2004, he was named NFHS Hawaii Football Official of the Year. A year later, he was named the first replay official for the WAC, eventually climbing up to the Mountain West and Big 12 Conference.
I was really intrigued by video, and Mike Pereira, who was eventually the NFL supervisor of officials, but at the time was the Western Athletic Conference supervisor of officials, he came out and gave a clinic. And it was the first time I'd ever sat in a room and watched someone dissect video. And I was hooked. I was instantly hooked on that. I think that event, that Mike Pereira event, changed me fundamentally as a football official, and video became as much a part of my training as any other aspect of officiating did.
Then 2018 came, marked as a milestone in his career. While attending an NCAA clinic, he received a call from Russell Yerk to join as a replay official in the National Football League.
That call came as a true shock. I was visibly shaken, even though I was in the room by myself, because that is not a goal that I ever considered truly obtainable, especially after my knee injury. And when that call came in, it kept me shaken a little bit for a little while.
To this day, he continues to lead youth organizations and serve as the coordinating official for the HHSAA. And despite all his success, Matt says none of it would be possible without his family.
My whole life at this point in my career, and we've changed over the course of time as we get older, is really just to make sure everybody's happy and everybody's taken care of. And I can't think of anything more important than my family, not only my immediate family, my wife and daughter, but my extended family.
An elite-level man entering Hawaii's finest group. Congratulations to 2020 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Matt Sumstine.
Well, I'll start by saying one of the hardest things I've ever done as an official is to cut my 2-hour speech to 5 minutes today. When I was informed about this, I went to the website and I read the mission statement. And the mission statement talks about honoring officials who have the highest character, integrity, skill set, and I think most importantly, giving back to their association. So when I think about all of the wonderful things that Felipe put up about my career, I don't believe this has anything to do with the NFL or the NCAA or some of the other accomplishments that aren't really affiliated with the giving back to your association. One of my greatest honors is to provide training and instruction to officials who are coming up at the youth level. Some of the emotions that I had when Cal told me about this, obviously honored, greatly appreciative of the committee's time and efforts to manage this system and to keep things going with the Hall of Fame. But I also said, I'm not done yet. Well, you think about the Hall of Fame and you think about retirement. Well, I'm not retiring. I am not done with football officiating or officiating in general in certain topics. But what put me here were the people that helped me to become the official that I am. And I'm going to run down a few names and their impact on me and what they gave me as a person to help me better myself as an official. I'm going to start with Roy Chong. He was mentioned a little bit. And Roy, I believe, really respected my skill set and my desire and my burning passion for the sport. But I think he took a little bit of pleasure in undressing me at the meetings. And to a point that I think he probably put it as a line item on his meeting agenda. That I gotta bring Matt down a little bit. But I got to credit him for that. I think he was trying to keep me grounded. I think it's easy to get excited about your skills and miss pieces of that process as you develop. And I think that was really what he was trying to do. He was trying to keep me at a pace where I could develop properly. And I liked him in a pain in the butt kind of way. So he gave me that initial grounding. Jim Beavers, I worked my first scrimmage game ever with him, and I blew an inadvertent whistle within 2 minutes of the start. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, at least you got it out of the way early." So he taught me that it was okay to make a mistake. Leave it behind you, learn from it, and move on. Bob Duffy had a passion for the youth game. He spent endless hours just working with the kids and developing the kids at the under high school level. And I learned a lot about giving back to the community in that fashion. Reese Amimoto is a guy that I tried to emulate because he made moving around the field seem effortless. So when I watched Reese work in his youth, I tried to emulate that. Doug Awana was the first game I worked with Doug. At halftime, I said, "Hey, how am I going? How am I doing?" And he said, "Well, I've heard great things about you, Matt, but I just haven't seen any of those things yet." So I really became good friends with Doug and still am to this day. And he really grounded me into the rules and the mechanics study. So he made me a much better official. Lloyd Hisaka, who is given nationally through the NFHS and serving on committees, was the founder of the Aloha Clinic, really. He came to me and asked me to put that together. Otherwise, it would have never happened. We ran that for 10 years, and we trained probably 1,000 people through that clinic. Mike Goshima, Danny Bain, give endlessly. It doesn't matter what you ask of them. They do it. And I learned a lot about giving and commitment from those two guys. Mike Pereira, who was mentioned, taught me how to study video. Glenn Young brought me in initially to the HHSAA to help him evaluate officials and to assign officials when he was originally the assigner, when the Prep Bowl, I guess it was called at the time, converted into a state championship. Frank White I worked with in arena football, and I was docked 16 points, which I think is a record, and it was in a half, by the supervisors, and they wanted to fire me. And Frank defended me and said, "No, he's just getting it." So he kept me in the game. George Gussman was a mechanics fanatic. And I'll tell you a story. It doesn't matter where you are. It could be before the game, after the game, halftime, on the phone in midweek. We're going to be discussing mechanics. And what George did to me one time, and I'm going to step out for this. He comes out and he says, "Just give him the line. Here's your line." And that doesn't seem like anything special, except it was after a game and we were in the gym shower. And I've been trying to get the naked image of George giving me mechanics lessons out of my head ever since. Jim Blackwood, the supervisor of the Western Athletic Conference, took a shot on me, hired me out of high school to work in Division I football. I had 5 calls in my first game in New Mexico. All 5 were graded incorrect. I still to this day think only 4 were incorrect. But he defended me. He says, "No, he's going to get it." My referee called him up, said, "Who is this guy and why'd you hire him?" Blackwood says, "Give him time." So they taught me patience in developing people. Walt Anderson, who's the best football trainer I've ever met, was working the Big 12 in the Mountain West and was my supervisor for a period of time, and he recommended me to the NFL. And then, of course, Russell Yerk is the one that hired me, and he had to get a special exemption to hire me from Hawaii. So there's a whole list of people that bend over backwards for officials. And I try to be like these people, this whole list of people. The NFHS and the NASO do surveys, and they find out that the officiating ranks are shrinking. The consensus of those surveys is that it's the hostile environment in which we work in. I believe that that's a part of it, but that's not all of it. The opportunity costs involved in officiating, the investment that we make and our families make, is exceedingly high. Not just from our time investment, but those opportunity costs take away from our ability to make money in our vocation. So one of the things that I try to do is I try to make officiating more appreciated. And I think that's what this committee is doing as well. So I set some goals, my current goals for officiating. And that's encourage associations to work under the umbrella of the HHSAA, to have unified mechanics and terms and understanding. It doesn't do any good for one association to say we're the best association. Everybody needs to work together. So my goal is to try to bring people together in that avenue. Encourage leagues and the state, and I don't mean just high school leagues, I mean youth leagues, to invest in recruiting, training, and retention. And I don't think enough emphasis is placed on those three things. Greatly increase the number of women officials, particularly in male-dominated sports, and to change the combative nature, getting back to those surveys, of the official-coach relationship. So, like I said at the onset, I'm not done yet. But thank you, committee, and thank you for this honor. I really do appreciate it.
Congratulations once again to Jan Allen, Sam Delos Reyes, Wayne Lee, and Matt Sumstine, the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame class of 2020. Now for the class of 2021. And our first inductee is no stranger to the Hall. After inducting his father in 2019, it's now his time to take his place right beside him. From the sport of boxing, let's meet Hubert Minn. Like father, like son, Hubert Minn's officiating life in boxing is virtually untouchable in Hawaii. An Iolani school product and graduate of Cal State Northridge and the University of Hawaii, and the son of 2019 Hall of Fame inductee Hubert Minn, Hubert began judging amateur bouts in the 1990s. By 1997, he became a professional judge with the Hawaii State Boxing Commission and judged more than 55 world championship fights, earning those honors while possessing the highest level of integrity, one of many notable traits noticed through the boxing community.
A humble, dedicated, hard-working, always efficient, great boxing official is the characteristic of Hubert Minn.
For the last 23 years, Hubert served as chairman of the ring officials for the World Boxing Council, as well as the North American Boxing Federation and Oriental Pacific Boxing Federation. His passion for the sweet science and teaching is infectious. By 1999, Minn developed some of the most extensive and comprehensive seminars for officials, constantly training a new batch of boxing judges, referees, and physicians to maintain the championship-level standard required for one of the world's most exciting sports. Through his tenure, he has certified hundreds of officials, rookies, and Hall of Famers in more than 20 countries. With his father, Herbert, Hubert soars in rarefied air as part of Hawaii's first family of boxing officials. His dedication to his art earned him the WBC Lifetime Achievement Award in 2020. Hubert Minn is proof that with hard work, kindness, commitment, and courage, you can knock out anything you desire in life.
The induction of Hubert Minn to the Sports Officials Hall of Fame of Hawaii is a great matter to celebrate by the boxing world. My dear Hubert, your father, Hubert Minn, is looking down with great pride to see this great event for you to become a member of the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame. God bless. Congratulations from the whole world to you.
Quite simply, he is Hawaii's ringmaster. Congratulations to 2021 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Hubert Minn.
Good afternoon and aloha. The last time I was up here in 2019 to accept my father's award, a guy on the dinner table told me, "What are you going up there for? Who asked you to go up there? Why are you up there?" And my answer to him was, "I'm practicing." Well, I'm not practicing today, and I really want to thank the Hawaii Officials Sports Organization for giving me this great honor. It's such a great honor. I also want to thank Cal, and I want to thank all the people who made this together, because as one of the acceptees said, this is a great honor, and you folks are doing a great job. Congratulations also to my fellow officials, who I feel very honored with. I believe that this award, as someone said, sometimes represents someone who's old. And like you, I'm not finished yet, but I accept this, and I accept this because with age comes wisdom, comes experience, comes respect, and comes compassion. Now, someone talked about mentoring, and I've been mentoring guys for 25 years, and like many of you, it's such an appreciation to watch these young officials step forward after you've trained them, and to be successful and competent and dedicated as a ring official. I would not trade this for a minute. You know, there's a saying that I always work with my officials. I say, as a parent, you don't prepare the child for the road. I mean, you don't prepare the road for the child. You prepare your child for the road. And same with officials. You need to learn respect. You need to learn integrity. You need to learn all these things. You don't go and lobby officials for an assignment. You don't try and make yourself the flavor of the month. If you're good, you'll rise. In closing, I want to thank my family who, as someone said, gave great sacrifices. We all know how much they sacrifice when we leave, and I've been on about 50 trips, and so it's taken a lot off my family. I want to thank them. Also want to thank the president of the WBC, Jose Suleiman, and his son Mauricio, and staff for 25 years of support and experience. Without them, I don't know where I would be. I also would like to thank my two major mentors, Tom Kazmarek, for teaching me integrity and competency in judging, and Chuck Hassett, who taught me that integrity is having the courage, as someone said, to call it when you need to call it, even though you don't want to call it. And in boxing, there's times when there's a big fight going on and there's thousands of people cheering and booing, you got to make the right call, whether you like it or not. Finally, most important, I wish to thank every ring official that I've met or trained. It has been my honor to learn from you and also improve as a human being. I hope to see you all soon. Be safe and take care. All is well. Mahalo and aloha. Thank you.
Congratulations, Hubert. Our next inductee spent his entire life in the sport of track and field and was an authority in the sport. Let's meet Gordon Scruton. For 7 decades, Gordon Scruton was quite simply the man for Hawaii track and field. Born in Hilo in 1933, Scruton was a standout athlete at the University of Hawaii and went right to work as an official in the mid-50s.
Got involved meeting him in the mid-80s, or maybe late 80s. By that time, Gordon had been officiating for 30 years. What I found out in his background is that he, after he graduated from college in 1954 and he came back to Hawaii, where he grew up, he started participating in track and field officiating to help out the sport.
After graduating from UH, Scruton worked his way up the ranks of officiating as a certification chair for Hawaii officials, while coaching youth athletes in Kailua. A successful businessman in construction, Scruton, from the start of his career, set the example and built the template for future Hawaii referees.
No matter what he did, he was resolute, he was dependable, he insisted that you dress properly and have the proper decorum. He always insisted that you knew the rules.
And he had a combination of experience and bearing, and also his attitude was like, it wasn't like it was a military organization. It was like you had to, in track, because we aren't hired and paid, it mostly has to do with encouraging people to volunteer and do it on their own interest in the sport.
Between 1970 and 2013, Scruton was frequently seen at HHSA track and field championships, mentoring younger officials while continuing to establish himself as one of the best not only in the state, but on the planet, working the NCAA track and field championships and never missing a world championship since 1983.
Gordon was one of the few people around the country that had attended all of them by the time I got involved in going with him. And he was a wonderful person to be with on these trips to the World Championships.
He stayed above the fray. No brada, no hard luck story, I'm going to go change my mind. You get hard luck, we got to go change our mind. No. Coaching, he's a tough love guy. If you were prepared, you did very well with him.
Scruton passed away in November of 2015. To this day, Gordon continues to be the gold standard for Hawaii track and field officials, a resume that took him from UH to the HHSA, to the NCAA, and even the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, a stretch run of accomplishments that has left a lasting impact.
Gordon was had the breadth and depth of interest in the sport that just was always captivating to me, and so. I mean, to me, he was sort of like a best friend and a father figure.
Well, Gordon Scruton in officiating and Al Rowan in track coaching were the people that held track and field together as a sport in last century.
Coach, mentor, legend. Congratulations to 2021 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Gordon Scruton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gordon Scruton, Jr. I'm here representing my late father, Gordon Scruton. I'm going to do my best to keep it together as we're coming up on 6 years since we lost him. My father's heart and soul was in track and field. As early as I can remember, he was coaching and officiating. He started a summer track program to participate in the summer track meets back in the mid-60s. I remember well because the youngest age group for running was 7 to 8 years old. He encouraged me to participate, and I was 6. My father was like a professor at meets. He carried the rule book in his back pocket like the track and field Bible. The rules were the rules, period, the end. He was strict but fair. Everyone was treated equally. He was always very approachable and made himself available to everyone. He mentored many. He made it a point to share his knowledge with anybody who asked. His thoughts were the more that other people knew about the sport, the better the sport would be. He and his crew worked tirelessly on the weekends, officiating OIA meets Fridays into the late evening and ILH meets all day Saturday. Summer track meets that they officiated started early in the morning and didn't get done until darkness. My father pursued higher training for officiating and achieved the highest level of USA track and field officiating as a master official. He was able to fulfill his dreams by officiating at the NCAA championships and the Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon. On behalf of my father and my family, we graciously accept the honor of being selected to the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Congratulations, Gordon and the entire Scruton family. Our final inductee for the class of 2021 loved the game of baseball so much that he played, coached, and umpired, learning the game his entire life. Let's meet Arnold Soma. Right place at the right time describes the career of Arnold Soma perfectly. A catcher growing up in Eva Beach, he spent years managing and coaching AJA and Little League. While attending an Eva Beach Little League championship game as a fan, the umpire that was scheduled to work didn't show up. Enter Arnold Soma, who was asked by legendary broadcaster Chuck Leahy for a helping hand.
He asked me, why don't you umpire for championship game? I said, I've never umpired before. He said, you are a catcher, get behind there. So I had to borrow some equipment and that started it off. I enjoyed it. You know, it was, I said, oh, after all, this is pretty good, better than just catching, because I was a catcher, you know.
For the next 2 decades, Soma would work as an umpire for Little League and Babe Ruth games. And under the guidance of Marty Martin and 2018 Hall of Famer Hide Yamashita, he would go on to have a successful 20-year run working OIA and ILH baseball games. With the respect from his peers, it was time to aspire to go higher and officiate collegiately.
They had the fall league at the time, and they said, Arnold, you go up there and try. Work a couple games on the bases. And then, of course, Les Murakami was with the AJA, so I knew him, so that's how I got in, I guess. I just enjoyed it. You know, I just enjoyed baseball, and the players were, a lot of the players, humble players, you know, they weren't, I don't know about today's players, but they were humble people.
Soma spent 20 years working University of Hawaii games, and along the way, served as the leader of the Rainbow Umpires Association, working as an official and a signer. With numerous HHSA championship games under his belt, he spent years with the ILH's Bud Botello, generously giving their time to hold rules and mechanics clinics at Mid-Pacific Institute. And in 1982, worked the plate in Manoa in the 1982 WAC championship game.
Oh God, talk about nervousness. But after a while, after the first pitch, you get into the groove. And it was good. I enjoyed it.
Soma's personality off the field is infectious, taking his craft seriously, but not himself. He retired from officiating at the age of 60, but still is sought after for advice for younger officials.
I would tell them to get to know the players, get to enjoy them, and then, you know, don't be nitpicking. Just go out there, call balls and strike the way you see it, and, you know, if you miss one, hey, everybody's going to yell at you, so don't worry about it.
His love for the game is only matched by the love for those that support him, the ones that made Arnie incomparable.
My wife was very supportive. She was very supportive, and when my father was living, he used to go to games with me, and you know, so they were very supportive. I want to thank, first of all, Gary for nominating me, then the rest of the people that I umpired with and I looked up to, and all these ball players that I've met, you know, and that I don't forget them.
From Eva Beach to Manoa, and now the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to 2021 Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame inductee, Arnold Soma.
I'll keep mine nice and sweet and short. A big thank you for the board of directors of the Hall and for your hard work in making this possible. Being inducted to the Hawaii Sports Official Hall of Fame is a huge honor. I never really expected it, but thank you. And sums up my long journey in the baseball field. I thank my family and the Rainbow umpires who took me in when I wanted to be an umpire and taught me a lot about the game. So thank you, Rainbow umpires for your support, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
I've always said that what I've enjoyed most about these Hall of Fame inductions is listening to the speeches by the Hall of Fame inductees, and tonight was no exception. Always so enjoyable, and it's just such a great honor that we have to congratulate all of you and listen to your stories. I hope that everyone is continuing on as we've heard today. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the newest members of the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame. That's it for now. Special thanks to Cal Evans and the Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame Board. For bios of this year's class, videos of past honorees, or if you want to nominate an official, visit our website, hawaiisportsofficialshalloffame.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felipe Ojastro. Support high school sports. Take care and aloha.